What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hey Pumpkin. So it is Brian and I, Mr. DJ Evox, and myself. Momma Kim is on sabbatical, so we traded one in for the other because DJ Evox was on sabbatical himself.
Yeah,
So what you been doing,
I'm
Brian?
back. I have been what's the saying? Booked and busy as of late. So
Oh, we know that. We know that.
indeed,
So I know you did had another show in Louisville,
that's correct. Yep.
and then did you get booked again?
Not there yet, which they usually ask me about a month out. And I
Okay.
knew that I had basically told them that October was not a good month for me just because I was already busy.
Oh,
Um, so um, so I knew I had a few things lined up on my calendar already. I had some weddings that I did this past weekend. Remind me to never do weddings again. I absolutely hate doing them, but the money is good.
why?
So, and they were favors for friends. What?
Why do you like?
You
Why
say
don't you
why?
like doing weddings?
They're they're stressful. Like I'm kind of a perfectionist, especially when it comes to DJing type stuff. And
Hmm.
like there's the pressure of being really good, whether and not just like, having a good dance floor, but like playing the right music when they're walking down the aisle and, things of that nature, making sure everything is top notch and right on time. Like there's a lot of pressure. But also like you'll get brides that want to have complete control over what you play on the dance floor and can't understand why the set sucks because they're not a DJ when you are and they're the ones calling the shots. So it's just a lot of
Right.
stress and I just don't enjoy it.
I get it. I get it. I get
Yeah.
it. I get it. Okay. And then you also so
I'm
you got
back.
weddings and
So this month, it's mostly just been it's been things local in Indianapolis. Um, I'm disappointed that Mama Kim is not on this episode, so that I could share that I got a booking in Charlotte, North Carolina, in a couple of weeks,
oh,
and so since Louisville wasn't big enough for her, I thought Charlotte might be more impressive. So
oh, that's gonna be really nice. When is this? When are you doing this?
that's the first and second. It's
Of
not
November.
a nightclub. Yeah, it's not a nightclub gig. It's a group out of Los Angeles. Actually, they do a traveling drag brunch, and
Hmm.
they when they came to Indianapolis, their DJ that travels with them typically was not available, and so they ended up connecting with me through Greg's, and they liked me so much and I got a lot of positive feedback from the crowd that was there. It's a pretty different crowd from what I normally play to because I did do some DJing, but also then playing the music for their drag performances, and they liked me so much that they invited me to Charlotte. I did actually reach out to a couple places in Charlotte, nightclubs there, to see if they need a DJ while I happen to be there and have my equipment. I have not heard back from that, so that's probably not going to happen. They also tried to get me to come to Atlanta, but Friendsgiving is the same weekend that was going to be, so I could not do that one.
Yeah, no, you couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't miss out on Friendsgiving. But I don't know. With the people that understood, miss out. You ain't gonna miss out on no money now. We would
Right.
have understood. But that's good. That's good. So you really,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
really working, and you are networking out
Yeah,
there, and people are knowing you, knowing the phase, knowing what you can do. So that's good. That's good. How you
absolutely.
feel about that?
It feels good, especially like this group. Like they are in Los Angeles. I'm sure they could have any DJ that they wanted, and but in this case, they some random DJ that they stumbled across on their travels across the country. Now they want me to travel with them, even if it's just for a couple of weekends. Like that feels good. Like you, I when I kind of went into that initially when they were here, I was just like, this is just gonna be a drag show. I'm gonna go push play and then leave and be done. And to know that I made a good impression was nice. It felt good.
Good, good. That's all your hard work paying off.
Absolutely,
That's definitely got to be a good feeling.
definitely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. And that, you've been booked and busy. You've been on vacation. You've been doing all of the things. The rest of us have just been, working our 9 to 5s and everything like that. Well, not Mama Kim. She's been out and about in these streets as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm really
Although,
happy for
yeah, I did want to say on the topic of Mama Kim, I really enjoyed the episode that you two did together, the most recent one of the first time that you
you.
guys met. I really enjoyed that episode. Just especially just like it was such a natural interaction between the two of you, and both of you had these looks on your faces where you just lit up when you were talking. Like when you would talk about how much you adored one another, basically, and just your faces were lit up, and it was just a sweet, genuine, heartfelt moment,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed that episode.
I appreciate that. I'm sure she'll appreciate that as well. Yeah, it was. We just connected from the very first time we met, and we argue, we fight, we this and the third, but we always come back together in the end and just make it make sense. And so, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah. I'm sure
that's
she'll
awesome.
appreciate that. She know how emotional she is, so she'll probably get all,
Oh yeah.
"Oh, Brian," she's the slightest little thing to tug at her emotions. But yeah, that's good. Well, thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys
Well,
held it down
the
while I was
last thing,
gone.
huh?
You guys held it
Yeah,
down
because
while I was gone.
exactly, because you were on the beach or whatever at that time.
There was definitely no beaches, but
There was no beaches there.
not anywhere near where we were.
Oh,
It was an interesting kind of trip. So we were in San Jose, the capital of Costa Rica, and like it's not a very touristy place. It's like when you basically it's where you fly into in most cases, and then you leave and go to beaches or
hmm.
what or resorts or whatever. Um, so it wasn't very touristy. I mean, and beaches were like the roads there aren't fantastic. So if you want to go places, everything is a really long drive. I think it was maybe 80 miles to a beach, but it would take like 4 hours to get there. It was like
80 miles take
really,
4 hours.
yeah, just because the roads aren't very good there. So,
Wow.
I mean,
Well, no,
in San Jose, it was they were fine, but apparently once you get out of it, yeah, they're a little rough.
oh, was it safe?
Actually, yeah, I mean that was kind of an interesting contrast compared to um, like the Dominican Republic when we were there. They kind of discouraged you from going out unless you were on like an excursion where they provided transportation and everything. This
Hmm.
was yeah, there was I didn't feel um, unsafe at any point. We had gone out to a few different clubs while we were in town. Some of them were in pretty dark, kind of secluded places, and there, I mean, there weren't a ton of people around, so you just didn't
Hmm.
really encounter anybody that made it feel sketchy. It was good.
Shit, even for me, I wouldn't have to encounter nobody. The fact that you said it was dark in there, and I was like, please, no. Okay.
It is what it is.
Well, I see you guys were adventurous then, but the bottom line is you guys got time in, quality time in together, and that was the
Yeah, it
that
was
was the,
nice
the bottom line. So that was
for
good.
sure.
Glad to hear that. Well, while y'all were out there, doing the things and everything like that, and come back, and shortly later, we are in a, dare I say, fucked up situation here in the United States. And so that was October 1st, which I was skeptical myself. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to take place. I thought there was at the clutch, some, the votes were going to come in and everything was going to be okay and everything like that. But today, woke up and they said, "Oh, the government is shut down." I was like, "Wow." And then I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, government shut down. Everything gonna be okay in a couple of days. Everything gonna be."
Yeah,
But I think this time for me, it's a little more personal. Though I'm not personally like impacted because I don't work for the government or anything like that. But I think this is the first time that I've kind of felt it with having friends that are directly impacted by it. Um, it I guess it resonates a little differently this time around. And I'm thinking, what was it? His first term? I don't know. Maybe if his first term, we were all cool then, but I don't.
There was a shutdown in his
Maybe,
first term, and it was the longest one ever.
yeah, but maybe I think maybe the fact that we're older now, I think that because people are doing different things and following their dreams and everything like that, and then here this stuff comes trying to mess up the plan. I think maybe that's why it hits a little differently this time around. But I didn't expect it. What are your thoughts on this lovely event?
Yeah, and I think what you're probably perceiving is some some changes from the last time that this happened. So I work for the organization that all of our friends worked for back during that original shutdown. So I'm still getting paid, and the last I heard was 6 to 12 weeks, which were only 3 weeks into it at this point. So it's not super pressing yet, but so maybe that's why you perceived it differently, because everybody was continuing to work, we were continuing to get paid and things of that nature, and so maybe, but now that's not the case. Some of them
Oh
have
yeah,
moved on to other organizations, and they are actually out of work at this point. So,
yeah.
um, and like in our case, Marcus and I are doing just fine. We will be fine. And I
And
know
we
that
know that where the money
our other,
resides.
what was it?
So we know where the money
um,
resides.
Apparently. Um, our other friends, I know that they will eventually be okay as well, but I can't speak for how confident they are feeling right this moment. But
Right.
um, I think that may be why you're feeling some difference. I actually anticipated that I would feel a little different about it, being that now I am a government employee and I was not previously. And I will say that I right now I'm not. If once I'm actually facing having to go to work and not, or not working at all and not getting a paycheck, and it being in limbo as to whether or not I will get a paycheck, I might feel differently. But as of right now, it's kind of a non-issue for me.
Mhm. Yeah, and also now as you were talking, I think another element to that maybe the initial shutdown that it wasn't there is I think I've grown closer. We've all grown closer over these years as well. So now it resonates a little differently as well. Um, but yeah, it sucks, and it sucks even more. Like I said, to see people personally impacted by this. There's just the uncertainty of it all, and then the uncertainty of it all, and then the fact that it doesn't seem like people really care. You know what I'm saying? Like certain people don't really care about it. It's like a non-factor to them, but people's lives are really being impacted and
Yeah,
affected by this.
absolutely. And I think one of the things that's very different about this one from a what you hear in the news perspective is that they are trying to use this opportunity to fire people and get rid of them and stuff of that nature. And that's, not only are you in a situation where you're employed but you're not getting paid, but now you're potentially facing actually losing your job at the
Mhm.
same time. And
Yeah.
when we talk about, they're trying to dismantle programs that you'd fall back on in the event that you were to lose your job, and you don't know if you're going to get the severance that a government employee typically does when they're let go, and things of that nature. Like it's a little bit of a different world that we're in right now, and I can understand why certain people are feeling a little uncomfortable about that.
Yeah, and it could come with a worse time. Mainly, coming around close to the holidays. It's never a good, people probably, Thanksgiving, you're looking forward to spending time with family and things of that nature and stuff like that. And this is not what, a lot of people plan. But I listen to the Breakfast Club regularly. And so one of the things that Charlemagne really drives home is the messaging. So I want to play a clip that he would, and when he was kind of going a little deeper into that, what he meant by the messaging and how that is impacting people's perception of this shutdown. So
What's going on?
let's go
Yeah.
get that.
I read a poll this morning that said, a lot of Americans are starting to blame Democrats for the government shutdown. And it's just simply because Republicans are better at messaging than Democrats will ever be. I can't believe Democrats still haven't figured out how to message. But right now, at a time when American people are hurting and they can point directly to the Trump administration and say, earlier in the year, it was Doge cutting all the federal jobs. Now they are in charge of every branch of government, and it's a government shutdown, and all of y'all are losing jobs. The fact that they can't message that it's the Republicans that are hurting their pockets right now, and people still think it's the Democrats, it's insane
It's
to me.
insane. What should they do?
Well, I have a whole different theory. I felt like, they shouldn't have let the government shut down, and they should have let Republicans jack up the healthcare prices, and then they could have pointed directly to Republicans and said, "Hey, this is the reason your healthcare prices are sky high." Republicans, and that could have been their messaging, and it could have been, one band, one voice. Everybody. Trump administration jacked up your healthcare prices. This is the reason your healthcare prices are high. But now that the government is shut down, the waters are too muddied because it takes a bipartisan effort to keep the government open for the most part. So it's just like, it seems like they've made it to where people really don't care too much about why they're not getting their checks. They just want their checks. But Republicans have beat it in people's head that it's Democrats' fault. And Democrats are taking credit for it because they're saying, no, yeah, we are the reason the government is shut down, but we're doing it because we didn't want your healthcare prices to get jacked up. So they're taking a stand, but it's hurting a whole lot of other people while this stand is being took.
Say you, Brian, how do you feel about what he said?
I don't entirely agree. I definitely feel like I have seen good messaging from Democrats. I will say that the Republicans are outpacing them a little bit, but I don't necessarily think it's as wide of a gulf as he has perceived. And it's probably just a matter of what echo chamber do you belong to, as to whether or not what messaging what you hear or what you don't hear. And being in the role that he has, I'm sure he pays a bit more attention to Republican sources to get a full story, whereas I don't necessarily immerse myself as much into it. Um,
Mhm.
I think one thing that, because I feel like one thing the Democrats had done actually pretty good at was refuting um, the narrative that Democrats are trying to give illegals healthcare. And
Mhm.
I noticed that they have kind of backed off of that, and I think it's because Democrats did a pretty decent job of refuting that, and so now they're just going at it and saying, well, the Democrats aren't here, that we just can't do it because the Democrats aren't here, they're not letting us do it. They're going much more generic than they were whereas before they were being much more specific. So I do think that's a small victory in that um, it's kind of taking some of their talking points away, but eventually. Um, I don't also completely disagree with him in the sense that Republicans are doing a pretty decent job of um, getting their message out there, even if there are dissenting voices that are doing an okay job of refuting what they say. And for those people that are in heavily Republican um, echo chambers, that's all they're hearing, and that is that it's the Democrats that are doing it. The Democrats are the reason that this is going to happen, and even the whole skyrocketing healthcare cost argument that is the whole crux of this discussion is there's absolutely no disputing who is responsible for that aspect of this, and that is the Republicans have decided that they're not going to fund ACA credits anymore, and that is
Mhm.
going to end, as well as Medicaid expansion and other programs, and that's going to result in skyrocketing healthcare costs, and there's no disputing that. But again, they're not hearing that because they are in an echo chamber, and that sucks.
Yeah, I would have to say I do kind of agree with what he's saying, only because it it makes sense. I guess I don't think that the Democrats are doing enough in their messaging. Like And it could be because Republicans have control, have the House, the Senate, presidents, all that kind of stuff. So maybe that is the reason why their voice is a little louder. But it does seem like I was on today's show when I was listening to it, they were talking about um, they were reading an email. Lauren LaRosa was reaching out to the White House about another topic, but the email reply that she got was basically they used, they blamed the Democrats multiple times throughout there. So it's kind of like that recency bias where it's like you hear it often. So then now whether you believe it or not, you've heard it enough that now you're starting to question what you
Right.
believe. And so that's the only part of it that I say, but I think that as it relates to the Democrats, I, I guess their messaging is it's kind of par for the course as it relates to just how they've been showing up
Or
since
not.
he has or not showing up. Yeah, and so um, I don't know why people would expect more or expect different when you know we just been getting more of the same. So it's just. Mm, I guess in a sense, we need to lower, even though we would want more for them, we just kind of need to lower our expectations and say, listen, they may not have that fight in them that we would want them to. But then also, again, I say well, I don't even say it that way because I would say, well, if the underdog, then maybe that's what's keeping them from shining. But in reality, a lot of times the underdog are the ones that really come out swinging because they got so much on the line.
Right.
So I don't know.
For sure.
I don't
And
know.
I think the tendency of the left to take the high road um, kind of makes it challenging for them to respond in the way that they need to. And honestly, that's a strategy that I think that they kind of need to get away from, is that they need to start hitting a little bit lower than they normally do, and hitting harder than they normally do, to, like you
They
said,
do.
be the one that people are hearing more often, even if they don't necessarily believe it. It's the one that they're hearing a majority of the time.
Yeah. We need more of a Malcolm X and less of a Martin Luther King Jr. You know what I'm saying? At this point,
Yep.
it's kind of ruffle some feathers. It really ruffle the feathers enough to get people to let people know you're there. And then if you want
Yep.
to, once you get that following, then if you want to back up a little bit, fine, do that. But right now, you need to gain the following, gain the support because in my mind, um, because the Republicans have so much control, you can't fight the fight with old
Yep.
weapons. Do you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to come with a new way to do it.
For sure. And this is one of those things where a lot of analysis of the 2024 election have talked about kind of what the catalyst for the loss by the huge loss by Democrats was, and a big part of that was failure to resonate with middle America, or regular, like normal people. Um, the left is often seen as being elitist and things of that. Don't, to some degree, I don't necessarily disagree with that assessment, in the sense that better educated and things of that nature. But this is an opportunity where they could actually be hitting that messaging really hard, of that you're a normal person. Your healthcare is about to become much more expensive because of what
Right.
the Republicans are doing, and we're proposing things that will prevent that from happening. Like that's an opportunity for them to actually start resonating with the people that they lost, and they're kind of feckless about it right now.
Yeah, I agree. And then the worst part of it all, in the midst of this, the government shutdown and all those type of things, and now our president is more concerned about a ballroom.
Oh, yeah. I, here's the thing. Like, I was never thrilled about the idea, and I'm certainly not thrilled about it now. Um, but it was one of those things where, like, when originally it was he's not going to touch the any existing part of the White House, and most of the money from it is coming from donors versus um, government funds. Although I'll circle back to that because I do have opinions about that. But now that it's come out that we're seeing pictures of the White House literally being
Bulldozed.
demolished.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I'm sorry, sorry for my
No,
language,
that's
but like,
real.
what the fuck? That so and I made a post on Facebook the other day about this, and that was, all these MAGA people were so up in arms about tearing down Confederate statues, because that's history and things of that nature, and they're completely silent about this, and like, no, the actual history is in that White House, and you're perfectly fine with that being torn down because your cult leader is the one doing it. So, it is absolutely insane.
Yeah. So where do you think this money's coming from? You don't believe it's
I mean,
donors?
it's pretty well documented where it's coming from, and it's a lot of big companies, um, like the Amazon's, Apple, Microsoft,
Amazon.
things of that nature,
Yeah.
and like eventually we have to like step back and say, do these companies deserve our continued support moving forward if they're going to? The only problem is that so many companies are actually become involved in it that it's going to be hard to actually boycott all of them. But like, some of this is pretty egregious, like, and don't try to tell me that they're not getting anything in return for their
Oh, definitely. I'm sure they
gracious
are.
donations. Yeah.
I'm sure they are. And here's the thing, like you said about the boycott thing, and I get on my soapbox about this whole boycott because the Target boycott, they deem to be so. They don't. I would say they deem to be so successful. It has been successful. I won't take that away.
Sure.
But I also say at the same time, it's easy. My argument about that is it's easy to boycott Target. It's a higher price point in certain cases, and so
Yep.
they're not everywhere. So even though they're a lot of places, they're not everywhere. So that might not be as convenient for some to shop there. So it's easy to say, okay, I'll boycott Target.
Exactly.
I If somebody really wants to show me they meant business about a boycott Walmart. It's a lower price point. It's a lot more convenient. They got different formats. You got the big box. You got the neighborhood stores, all that kind of stuff. So boycott them, or this is what I never would probably will ever see, boycott Amazon.
Yep.
But that I don't think will ever happen because of the convenience of it. People are lazy, so they're not going to want to have to, the convenience of I can order something today. Early this morning it could be at my house.
Today. Yeah.
Yeah, that convenience. People are not going to want to inconvenience themselves for that purpose. So, yeah, one might say it was a win. There's a whole Target boycott. Oh, that's a win. That's a win. The CEO had to step down and all that kind of thing. Which, okay, I get it. I'm not trying to diminish that or take away from that at all. But I'm saying if you want to really show me a true boycott and show me some true sacrifices, yeah, sacrifice a company like Amazon or
Yeah.
uh, Walmart, some places like that, where it really will hit, it really will affect you and impact you to have to boycott them. Target, I think, is just an easy target, no pun
I
intended.
agree.
Yeah,
Absolutely agree. No, and that's actually
yeah.
that
So
I had kind of been thinking about that myself, and that you kind of worded it very perfectly. That it's an easy boycott. It didn't really require any effort on anybody's part. They just go somewhere else.
yeah, because if people went to Target because they want to feel like they were doing something, you know what I'm saying? For
Yeah.
those who weren't
Yep.
normal Target shoppers, oh, I'm going to Target, but yeah, tell me that you're not going to Walmart. Which I always found
Yep.
very interesting. Another soapbox I could get on is that when I worked for Kroger, we would get so many complaints about customer service and this, that, and the third, but yet people would not quit shopping at Walmart and
Yep.
the level of service was worse.
Yep.
You didn't have a lot of checkouts open, and then you had use the self checkout and this that. But so it's weird to me. I'm glad I'm glad that people band together, show solidarity for a boycott. But now, and I thought it was supposed to be tears. So where's the next stage of this gonna happen? Especially when these companies, big companies, are donating money to. Think about this: donating money to something that, in my mind, really didn't need to be done. We've gone so many years, hundreds of years without it. We really need it.
Yeah.
You could have built. First off, another thing I'm thinking: did it really have to be part of the White House if you were going to build something like this? Could you have found land and created
Yeah.
structure there to do this? But excuse me. But even in the midst of all this, considering everything going on in our country right now, why should they be donating to a cause like this? This is Why not take that money, all that money that and for a good cause, like help these people out. It's coming up. I think Nashville is saying that coming in November, people aren't going to get their SNAP benefits. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And then countrywide, that's like 42. I think 42 million people are supposed to be affected by SNAP benefits not being given. That's major.
Yep.
But we're not weird. They are donating money to a ballroom for what
Yep.
reason?
Well, I think we need to reframe that is that they're not donating for a ballroom. They're donating for political favor. And that's the so we let's just call it what it is. It is not a donation for a ballroom. Apple and Microsoft don't give a
Yeah,
fuck about a ballroom. It is what can they get out of um, the president by giving him money.
yeah, and that makes sense.
It's
That makes sense. And then on another note, I will play this for you really quickly.
yep.
We're going through trying times here in the United States, and then this
What do you
happens.
have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are a top trading
Argentina's
partner?
fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can. But don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
Now they're dying, and you have donated 20 million and thinking about increasing that. There's some other deal on the table where it could turn from 20 million to turn it to 40 million. But for you to make
Billion.
comments like that,
Let's
that
be
they
let's be clear about that. It's billion and not million.
billion, I'm sorry. Yes,
Yes.
billion. You're right.
Yeah.
Even worse. But so you're donating that money, and what's going on right here in our own country, and and I think it was said something about him trying to help them with their economy. They got their failing economy and stuff like that. But that's crazy to me. So what are you saying
Yeah.
about your level of care for the people that are here? And then in my mind, the people that voted for you, those who aren't rich, should really be side eyeing you, because now that's the biggest middle finger you could ever give. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck about y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm going and help them. Mm.
It, there's a lot going on with that, and I think it kind of goes to show the status of our foreign relations in the world as it stands now. Uh, and I mean no disrespect to Argentina when I say this. Um, it's a decent country. It's a generally friendly from a ally perspective or from a geopolitical perspective. It's a generally friendly country to the United States, but it is inconsequential. And but in this case, I think we've made so many enemies of our former allies, or not even not necessarily enemies, but just countries that have drifted away from their relationship with the United States because of what the United States has been doing. That we're looking for allies in unconventional places at this point out of desperation. Argentina is another interesting choice in the sense that uh, specifically farmers, while I understand why she brought up that question, and that was Argentina is where the soybeans that China is not buying from us, that's where they're buying them from. So they're getting a decent infusion of cash from that kind of thing, and yet we are also giving them money. Um,
Right.
and so, but while at the same time hurting our own farmers that voted for Trump. But that's neither here nor there. So it's such an interesting choice that we are aligning ourselves with this country that is otherwise fairly inconsequential to our day to day lives.
That's very true. Very true. But for what I'm sure, there's some level of camaraderie or something like that. Or maybe the president of Argentina, is showing favor to Donald Trump in some way, shape, or form, and that's praising him in some shape, way, shape, or form, and feeding his ego, and that's what's causing all this. But I it's really heartbreaking that we would give that amount of money to someone else when people as they say, in our own front door,
Yep.
um, or front steps, or however the saying goes, really are needing help.
Yep.
This, and the sad part about it is, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
it's I mean, if you think about it, it's only October. We're looking at 9 months, right? 9 months. And so much negative things have happened. I, I can't, I mean, we have 3 more years to go. You know what I'm saying? This is, and it's sad. It's very sad. I don't know. It's sad, and it's very scary as well.
Yep. Absolutely.
So,
And it's when he. One thing I do want to talk about, just randomly as a kind of a detour in this conversation. Did you notice how like awful Trump looked in that clip? Like he looked really bad. Like when did that happen? Like don't get me wrong, he's not been a looker by any means, but he looked very unkept in that particular clip.
yeah. Well, they said he's tired. They say he's been working around the clock, nonstop. I've been, maybe it's catching up with him. And he's not no spring chicken. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
he's not for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we'll see.
Yep, we will.
I just encourage everybody to stay encouraged. And this is the time where community really, really, really matters most. I guess for me, it's like, you talk about it a lot, about community and having people around and all that kind of stuff. But these are the times when you really need people, and you need that support, and you need that, even if it's not monetary, but just know that people really care. And if you really needed something, you'd have some, And these are those times. And I really feel for those people who don't have that. That's because this is definitely, to me, the time that you really, really need that. And in future times, because like I said, I'm sure it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just the financial aspect of it, but just despair
Yeah,
is an awful thing to go through,
yeah,
and for people that don't feel like that, they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, they don't feel like that they have the support network and whatnot. Check on those people. Do what you can to let them know that they are not alone. If you don't have the money to give them money or whatever the case may be, that's fine. But make sure that they know that there's a positive light in their world, even if it's just words that you can offer them, and nothing else.
that's very true. That's very true. And on that note, we will get on out of here. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Hey Pumpkin. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you all very soon.